Here's a look earlier on at what happened in our Sendai studio in Miyagi Prefecture, northern Japan, where the intensity was 7.0 and the Japanese seismic scale of 0 to 7, the highest. It's also a magnitude of 7.9. This is what happened earlier on, about 40 minutes ago, to our newsroom in Sendai, northern Japan. Strong shakes were felt in our Sendai newsroom, along with our newsroom here in Tokyo. This week off the northeastern Japan, another quake had hit the region. At that time, it was just a magnitude of 7.3. This time, we were talking a much larger earthquake of 7.9. Major earthquake hitting Japan earlier today. You are seeing earlier videos of what happened in our studio, in our newsroom in Sendai. This is coverage of our newsroom earlier in Tokyo, in Chiyoda Ward, right next to Japan's Diet. We felt strong shakes and tremors here in Japan, in Tokyo, rather.
Also, the water, it's gone some way inland as well, but you can see that this is again a major wall of water about to hit the coast. The warning system in Japan, quite sophisticated, quite capable, so a lot of people would have been moved already from this area, but clearly we are talking about a huge amount of water about to hit the coast. Let's get an assessment about the notice that people, I think we can just bring in Holly Williams actually, who's joining us, because we were just saying, Holly, we've got reports from Beijing even now, 1,500 miles away, that they felt the tremors as well.
I didn't feel it in my building, Mark, but I understand that's the case. It's perhaps not surprising. Beijing, it's 1,500 miles, but it's close enough, given that this was an 8.9 magnitude earthquake. Of course, that's simply colossal. And as you heard from your previous guest then, even the aftershocks coming in at 7.4, that alone in most places would be a hugely significant earthquake, and you would expect almost certainly a high number of casualties. Of course, as we know, the Japanese are probably better prepared for earthquakes than any other country in the world. Anyone who's spent any time in Japan will know that you regularly feel tremors there, but the building code is second to none. But of course, with an earthquake this large, some buildings, we already know that they've already been destroyed in the tsunami that's already hit the coast there. To get a full assessment of just how much damage this is done and how many casualties there are, we're obviously going to have to wait several hours, perhaps several days.
Holly, thank you for that from Beijing. Tom Parment is with us as well in the studio now, assessing the reports coming in from elsewhere as we see huge tsunami waves heading in to the Japanese coast, and the warning for elsewhere in the Pacific. It seems to be most of the Pacific Rim now.
Yeah, there's a very large geographical area around Japan that has been put on alert. Not necessarily a warning, but an alert certainly in other countries. And you can just see by the pictures that we are seeing, often shot by helicopters, just extraordinary walls of water sweeping in masses of debris and destroying anything in its path. We've seen buildings and cars thrown into rivers and just swept away. The power of the water is quite extraordinary. It is akin perhaps to what we saw on the Boxing Day tsunami back in 2004, which hit, of course, Thailand, Sri Lanka and Indonesia.
Right, we're just getting a report coming in, Tom, AFP reporting local media in Japan that a 33 feet high, or it's 10 meter tsunami wave seen at Sendai City at the port there. These waves are now really starting to come in at some height, and no matter how prepared you are, even if you got to high ground, I mean, that's a huge impact that sort of wall of water is going to have.
It is. You can see from the pictures that already it is sweeping through towns, not just those directly on the coast. And if we do think back to the last tsunami of this magnitude that we saw, as I say, the Boxing Day tsunami, I was out reporting in Thailand at the time, and even up to a mile, 2 miles inland, major damage and major destruction was being caused. Because
And it's not just the water, of course, it's what it's carrying with it, and that's what does the damage.
it is sweeping away buildings and cars and bridges, every kind of bit of infrastructure that you can think of very often just can't withstand.
We're also getting a bit more now from Russia, where the emergency ministry has issued a tsunami warning for the Kuril Island chain. They are believing that, well, 2 meters is the wave about to hit there, nowhere near the destructive force we're seeing here in Japan. But clearly there could be more waves on the way as the aftershocks hit as well. Let's not forget that as well as the initial earthquake of 8.9 now, we've had aftershocks of, what, 7.4 and upwards, which is the force of a bad earthquake elsewhere.
Yeah, these are big earthquakes, and they are following the pattern of earthquakes in that, yes, we see aftershocks, and we've seen previous earthquakes quite recently in Japan, and that is the pattern. You think to New Zealand most recently, there was a major kind of earthquake followed by the very, very big one in Christchurch. So they do come in these kind of sporadic patterns, and it does happen quite regularly. And as I say, Japan right at the forefront of this, because it is where the continental plates meet. It is known as the Ring of Fire because there are so many volcanoes in Japan as well. So a very, very difficult situation that is clearly developing, and the authorities trying to assess what is happening, how many people have been injured and possibly killed. We don't yet know.
No, we're seeing some smoke rising from this plant. We're not sure if these fires are actually just the flares that are burning off excess vapour, or whether there is something more serious there. There's certainly no indications from the authorities as yet that any major installations have been affected, but much damage already. You can see these cars and vehicles are being well, floating away. People on the roof now for safety at this particular building. The car parks at Disneyland have been completely obliterated, we understand now, because as Tom was indicating, when this water comes in, it's what it carries with it, the mud, the debris. Buildings have been swept away as well. Just to reiterate, the official word now from Geological Survey, upgraded to 8.9. It's 81 miles offshore Sendai in Honshu, where it's believed it struck. Some 15.2 mile aircraft and helicopters and naval vessels to try and assess the damage that where it is worse. But you can see straight away that this plant has been very badly hit. It's very near the coast, and that tsunami wave hitting about half an hour ago. Latest we're getting is that there are yes, fires at this oil refinery. It's near Chihara, near Tokyo. So this is the location we're now getting, and this may well spread because clearly the emergency services are going to have difficulty getting to many of these locations because of that sort of picture, the devastation.
It remains to be seen how much damage has been caused.
Yeah, well, here's the significance, just to put a bit more context. We're now learning that the United States has placed the west coast of the USA and Hawaii on tsunami watch. The West Coast Alaska Tsunami Warning Center saying that any tsunami would hit Hawaii at around 1:45 lunchtime today, London time. The West Coast then 3:45 this afternoon. Cindy Preller, who's one of the people at the centre, they're saying with an earthquake of this size we could definitely see some water on the West Coast.